Okay, welcome to Timelines. Today we have Joshua on. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
This is called Replay. We're using Google Plus Hangouts, and I had too much stuff open, had a little Chrome leak, and we're starting over, which is fun. Doesn't happen very often, but gosh, I really got to know you. You're up in Michigan right now, but your home is down in Costa Rica. So
Yeah.
tell a listener something that's really going to grab their attention.
Well, I was born in Flint, Michigan, which some of you may know, not in a good way. It doesn't have a great reputation. I was born there. There's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of negativity, a lot of hopelessness, honestly. And being the first entrepreneur in my family, I can tell you right off the bat that I have a bachelor's degree in pain and a master's in suffering. And it's not been an easy road for me. I'm not a guru. I don't have all the answers, but I have learned a lot of valuable information, growing and selling a business, which, brought us to Costa Rica where we are now. I have monkeys in my backyard. I have a hammock outside my office, and there's benefits to that, but it certainly didn't start that way.
Very good. So interesting. I would say that what grabs my attention, I was looking at your landing page, in which we'll talk about that at the break a little bit, sendjim.com. And it said you had a business that was grossing over $150,000 per month. And you've sold that and you've moved to Costa Rica, really got into a whole different line of business, which is a digital business. And you've put a lot of money in app development and systems. So, I mean, you had 150,000. That's, how much is that? That close to 2 million a year?
Well, it depended. It was a seasonal business. We had bigger months and smaller months. But I'll tell you, I like to listen to podcasts and things like this, and I don't want the listeners to think I'm some hot shot or something because, I lived in a trailer park and delivered pizzas, Bill, when I started out. I ended up working in a bank for a while. I got my securities licenses. I started down the traditional career path. My mommy was so proud of her son with his little tie working for JP Morgan. But what happened was my wife got pregnant with our first son. I always had the entrepreneurial bug. I mean, I even bought 14 candy machines on a credit card when I was 18 years old. My parents were on vacation and came home to a garage full of boxes. The point being, when my wife was pregnant, that's when I decided I need to do this. I need to take it serious, and I need to really burn the bridge and go for it. And I started a cleaning business, and it was not easy. In the first couple of years, we struggled. Now, yeah, we had a lot of success, but it's a journey. One of my favorite quotes is everybody sees the wine, but no one sees the crushing of the grapes, right? It's easy to look at someone and say, oh, look at that guy, so lucky. No. My grapes have been crushed, my friend, and in a lot of ways, and they still continue to be crushed now because I've entered the software world, and I'm not a developer. I don't have, a Harvard MBA or something like that. I'm just an ambitious entrepreneur. I'm a dreamer, and so I believe I can accomplish whatever if I stick with it long enough and go for it. And that's really just more of a clear picture as to who I am and what the deal is with Josh.
I totally understand. I like that candy business. Good. How'd that business turn out?
Well, half of my machines got stolen, and the other half I kind of gave up on. So not very good.
It sounds like you had to pay off that credit card.
Yeah, it was youthful zeal, not backed up by maturity and a plan, really. But I learned from it. And, there's no failures in business. There's only learning opportunities. And I'm not trying to be idealistic. I mean, that's absolutely true. So looking back on it now, it's a funny story. At the time, it crushed me a little bit. But I was 18 years old and I didn't know anything yet. But it's a fond memory in the sense that I have no problem, taking intelligent risk and trying new things. And I think that's really important if you have a business or want to start a new business. You got to put yourself out there. It doesn't mean doing things without a plan like I did then, but don't live in fear and just go for it.
What makes you unique compared to a lot of folks who start online businesses is you have a family. And it takes capital and there's risk. I mean, you're an entrepreneur taking risk with a family. It's a lot of work. You have 4 kids, 6, 7, and 9 boys, I think, and a young 10-month-old born in Costa Rica, right?
Yeah. In Costa Rica, the females are called ticas and the boys are called ticos. So our daughter's, a tica because she was born in the country, which was kind of our way to cheat and get permanent residency in an easier way down there, which is a huge benefit. So we are permanent residents. My daughter has 2 passports, even though she's an infant. It's been a crazy, weird experience. Lots of good, lots of frustrating, hard parts as well. But what's really cool having a family and being an entrepreneur is the opportunity, the learning moments, the opportunities to teach my sons about life and finance and risk and entrepreneurism and free markets. And I mean, our house is not normal, Bill. I'm a weirdo in a lot of ways. We talk about business constantly. I don't shove it down their throat. I try to engage them and ask them questions. I ask them, how do you make money? What is the difference between, an hour for $1 in providing value? And very deep stuff. In fact, my 9-year-old son, before we moved, he started a candy business financed by me with a business loan. He personally memorized a script at 7.5 years old, walked into retail stores in our hometown and got his 5 machines placed on his own. Wow. I did not go in there with him. And he made a lot of money. And he actually sold that business for $1,200. And to a 7-year-old, that's like the equivalent of $2.3 billion, right? And to see the light bulb go off on his head when I had him sign an asset purchase agreement and I made him wear a tie, and we came to my office, and the kids that bought his business were 2 brothers that, had their savings and bought his candy business. It was an incredible thing. And it's not about money. It's about understanding that you can do stuff, you can conquer stuff. And for them to learn that at a young age is priceless. I can't even put a number on it. It's just invaluable.
Sounds like you built on your first business there. Candy business.
I helped him do it the right way. We had more of a plan this time. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And being a father is everything.
So what did you charge him for coaching?
I didn't charge him anything, but I do have a structured system for my sons. When they turn 7, they can start a business. And they get a $500 loan, interest-free, but they do have to pay it back. And when they pay it back, it unlocks the next level of capital injection of $1,000. When they pay that back, it goes to $2,500. When they pay that back, it goes to... So depending on how ambitious and responsible my sons end up being, if one of them's really getting after it, they could get up to 10, 20, 30, 50,000 while they're teenagers still. Well, if my youngest son maybe is more of a free spirit, he might get stuck at the $1,000 level until he's 18. I don't know. But it's an interesting thing. I can't wait to kind of live it so I can report back as to how it worked out.
So 6, 7, and 9, how many businesses do you have going right now with the kids?
Well, the kids right now don't have any businesses, and that's a sad thing, because the plan was when we went to Costa Rica, my middle son turned 7 when we were in Costa Rica. And so we were going to do his first business down there. And the market is so different, and we can't put our finger on what exactly he should do, because, a kid business isn't about money. It's about something they can do that's a consistent, responsible act. It teaches them life lessons, but it doesn't create a massive burden on mom and dad either. And we haven't really found something there. It's a very non-entrepreneurial culture. There's a lot of cultural differences. So we're honestly trying to work through it. He's actually 7.5, going on 8. And he's as frustrated as I am, saying, Dad, I want to start a business. Dad, I want to start a business. So we're not sure. I mean, he might buy some chickens. We might start a chicken business somehow. I don't know. But it's a constant discussion.
Well, next year we'll have to have you back and get a report on how the businesses are going with the kids.
Yes, absolutely.
I think there's a lot of interest in that. For those who have families and kids, that's great.
Absolutely.
Hey, real fast before we go to break, SendJim, how did you get into this business, SendJim? You went to a SaaS product. That's completely different than what you were doing per se. You're running businesses, but now you've developed a SaaS product. How do you transition from a traditional type business into a digital SaaS product?
Well, some of the best products and businesses on the planet started out because the founder was trying to scratch their own itch, right? What happened was, when I had my cleaning business, we were really starting to scale. We had, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 weeks, and we were growing like a rocket ship. And certain parts of the business were getting out of control. And one of the most important things for a small company is to engage their customers after they give you money. So follow-up, loyalty, retention, reducing attrition. I'm not trying to use fancy words, but your current customers are your most valuable asset. So thank you cards, appointment reminders, thank you surveys, things like that. It was just a pain in the butt to do it. So we took about 50 grand and built our initial version of this for our own self. It wasn't a business. It was going to be a proprietary tool for us. Long story short, it took on a life of its own, and now it is my primary business. We sell it to businesses all over the country because it scratches an itch a lot of us have. It helps you in a really fast, using your cell phone, pushing one button. It helps you automate the follow-up process after the sale, whether you're a cleaning business or you're an insurance agent or a realtor or whatever. I mean, we have oil change places using our app. They take a picture of a car and send a sequence to remind them to get their oil change. the point is that it takes the pressure off people going back to the office late at night and trying to manage all this follow-up. They're just not doing it. We made it easy.
Sounds like a lot of good uses there. I use a good example of oil. I know I get reminders too for oil changes, and pretty interesting business that you can do there. Wow. So we're going to go to a break, and on the break, we're going to talk for about 2 minutes and go over your websites and a little bit of your background. So for those listening on the podcast, go over to Timelines of Success or Timelines Netcast, and just put in let's see, just put in Josh, and you'll find one of the 260. All the Joshes will come up, and you'll be able to find the interview. So Josh, let's go to break. Okay, on the break, the first page we're going to look at on the break is, we're not going to crash this time. Folks, we had a what I call is a Chrome leak, actually a memory leak, and I've got a pretty powerful iMac. And if you don't reboot once in a while, or you have too much stuff open, you can get some Chrome leaks on the edge. I actually hit a wrong button on Google Plus Hangouts. But this is SendJim. This is like your landing page. This is a beautiful landing page. Great little clip here. That catches the eye right away. I don't know about the 30 employees. That sounds like a lot of work, a lot of paperwork.
Well, we'll talk about this later, but I'm obsessed with systems. I mean, we had a full-time operations manager, full-time sales manager, full-time office manager, and, delegating is my middle name. And business is a team sport. And when you have the right people in the right place and they're invested in and cared for the right way, it's unbelievable what can happen. And I don't care if it's a little local business or an online business. I believe our job as founders is to lead people and to inspire them. And when I really started to figure that out is when things really pivoted for us, because, I didn't go get us 4,000 customers by myself. This was a team effort, and the people around me helped us build this company. And in no way was it, Josh's glorious trophy or anything like that. So, yeah.
That's very good. So this page does work for you. How do you get this out to people?
Well, I do podcasts. I have my own podcast. So I do a lot of blogs. I do public speaking. I speak at industry events. And one of the big things that's worked for us lately is webinars and online workshops. I do a lot of business coaching. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm slightly passionate about this. And it's all authentic. I love this stuff, and I love helping wake people up and getting unstuck. And so I teach stuff. I teach them about the low-hanging fruit and how to fix their business and how to wake up and how to get inspired again. And as I do that, at the end, I'll explain SendJim, and a portion of those people buy. But when I do a webinar, it's 93% raw value, teaching from my own pain and suffering and my life experience, the things that worked. And then I always, pitch SendJim and say, look, guys, this is a tool. You need this. It's inexpensive. It works. It's highly effective. You should buy it. And some of them do. And it's a lot of fun, and it's been working very well for us.
So here's your podcast. Nice looking site. Looks very nice. You got the blog here, a lot of blogging. You've got Meet Josh. Joshua. You go by Joshua or Josh? What should you like?
Well, if you're really mad at me, you can call me Joshua.
Okay.
But if you're not mad at me, you can call me Josh.
Josh in show notes so people can find you, since that's what we said. So nice site, nice little site. And down here we can go to check you out on iTunes. This is where we start rating. For you folks out there, if you get on the site, go and rate and review. Basically, you go into here. You have to go into iTunes, so you have to have an account, and then you just hit on the top rate and review. So, in fact, I'm not going to bring that up, but you just hit this site, and you have to iTunes account. But good podcast, 60. Do you enjoy it?
I love it. It's the most fun I have with anything I do, honestly. It's not like the core driver of anything I'm doing, but it's a lot of fun. I love audio because I'm a listener of podcasts. I have been for years. I don't listen to radio. I might listen to a little NPR once in a while, but I really don't. I listen to podcasts, and it's a great way to educate yourself.
I was listening to streaming national radio today while I was working for a few minutes. Something a little different.
Okay.
Following a lot of politics here lately.
Yeah. I listen to some of that too as well.
So, and here is your Twitter site. You got a decent number of followers, and looks good.
Honestly, I'm not that heavy of a Twitter user. I don't love Twitter. It's just one of those things that you kind of have to do. And so my team, pushes content out and things, but I like Facebook a lot. We're going to move heavier into YouTube. We're going to make all my podcasts a YouTube video. I think that'll be good. And I love just speaking. I like live videos. I've used Periscope a little bit.
Mhm.
But
Do you have a Facebook group at all?
yeah, I have more than one private group, that I started on the admin of that we're growing the membership of. But honestly, all this stuff is newer for me. It's a couple-year-old infant type thing. So
Mhm.
I'm doing a lot of learning and I'm making mistakes, but I have a good team, and a lot of the things I learned with my other business are completely applicable to what I'm doing now. And so I think I'm avoiding some pain and suffering this time. But honestly, it's still a difficult thing, but we're getting some legs, and it's really starting to get more momentum the second half of the year here.
What is the name of your face group site? Face group.
The one that's newest that I'm most excited about is called The Growth Vault. So you can type The Growth Vault, and that is getting a lot of activity. There's only about 400 or 500 businesses in there, and people are just going crazy. It's really cool. You can be really transparent and open about some of the struggles you have in your business, and people are helping and serving each other. Very, very cool.
Another great name. You're a great, your name, Sin Jim, easy to remember, easy to find. That's a good test. With that, we're going to actually do it right this time. We're going to stop presenting here. We're back on the normal podcast. So
Okay.
we'll take a couple seconds of silence, come off the break. Yay, Josh, we're off the break and we're still going, and we're in the best part, which is your life and success principles. And we didn't crash like the first time.
Ah, wonderful.
So, the very first life and success principle, we put several down here in no specific order, but understand the why. What does that mean to you?
Well, I don't want to be cliche. I want to be authentic, but this is the most important thing possible for anybody listening to this, whether you have a business or not. One of my favorite statistics, or I guess it is a statistic more than a quote, is Bill, 10 out of 10 people die. How fascinating is that, right? So
motivating, very motivating.
Right. It sounds morbid, but you know what? It's 100% true. And it's funny to me. I'm 34 years old. And I look at people who are 50, 60, 70, and it's like they don't live with an awareness of their own mortality. And, people on their deathbed, they all say the same thing. They say, why did I live my whole life for what other people wanted? Why didn't I do that thing? Why didn't I go to Alaska? Why didn't I do this? Didn't I do that? So, I'm trying to be intelligent as a young man and say, all these people are saying the same thing. They're singing the same song. How can I apply this to my life right now so I'm not singing that song later? So your why is what you want. And, it's a question that I do a lot of business coaching one-on-one. People pay me. I fly into the States sometime and go to companies. And the first thing I always do is say, what are we trying to do? Why did you start this company? What's the plan? What's the destination? Because I cannot reverse engineer or architecture out of business or help them with their systems or help them understand all the holes in their bucket, so to speak, unless I know exactly what we're pointed towards. And there's really not a wrong answer, but you'd be surprised how few people can even answer that question. Everyone knows what they don't want, and a tiny portion of people know what they do want. I asked my sister when she was 20 years old, what kind of husband do you want? And she said, well, I don't want someone that smokes weed. I don't want someone who's lazy. I said, no. Don't tell me what you don't want. Tell me what you want. And, it's a tricky question, but we get busy living daily life. We get numb a little bit. We get in a routine. We kind of get into a coma, and we don't even ask ourselves that.
Very good. Very good. The why is very important. Okay, number 2 is relentless. What does relentless mean?
Well, I don't know why this is true for me. Maybe I'm just lucky in this one area, but I'm just relentless. I don't stop doing stuff until I achieve success. And it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. I mean, imperfect action always beats perfect inaction, right? So even in football, I was a quarterback in my little bitty high school, and we were terrible, by the way. We lost our homecoming 69-0 with me as the quarterback. So I'm not bragging about that, but I worked my butt off. And if I didn't throw up after football practice, I felt like I let myself down. And, that might sound extreme, but that kind of mentality is extremely powerful in business and in anything that you're doing. Getting up, taking the beating, because you will figure it out. You might be older. Maybe you're intimidated by technology. Maybe you don't understand social media. Start learning, figure it out, get frustrated, open your computer the next day, keep going. If you're relentless, honestly, I don't think you can fail as long as you keep going. Eventually, you will win. but most people, cash their chips in far too early.
Very good. Next is create space. That's a unique one. I don't think we've ever had create space before.
Yeah, well, we have to be intentional. And I love the word intentional, strategic, on purpose, with our own mental clarity, with our own ability to think. And I'm not talking about hocus pocus meditation. I'm talking, do you have a designated time every day? In my case, every single day, Bill, I go for a ride on my motorcycle every day for an hour at least to think about my life, my business, my marriage, my kids. How am I doing? Where am I at? I listen to podcasts, or I'll listen to scripture, or whatever I do, I'll walk on the beach. The point is my world could be melting down at work, and I push pause, I leave for an hour, and I come back, because that's how you understand what your why is. You got to give yourself a little space to dream and to recalibrate what you're even trying to do, because like I said, 10 out of 10 people die. I need to understand what I'm trying to point towards, if I have any hope of getting there.
So you're down in Costa Rica with this motorcycle. What kind of motorcycle is it?
It's actually not a motorcycle. I said that for simplicity's sake. I had a motorcycle, and now I have a pink scooter. It's a Honda scooter.
In Honduras, that's what I was going to ask. I can't see a big Harley down there.
No, I actually saw like one Harley, but it's funny because I make videos with me on my scooter on my Facebook channel. And I make fun of myself, but with all jokes aside, because it's hilarious with my little dumb helmet and my little silly scooter, it's not about the scooter. It's about the space. And it's a fun little toy. I paid a couple grand for it. I zip down dirt roads and look at the monkeys in the trees and watch the cattle grazing in the field. And I go to the beach. But it's about getting away. And I think it's important as leaders of our homes, leaders in our businesses, to just think. I mean, very few people think about what they're doing. And it's extremely powerful exercise.
I'm going to tie these next two in together and let you talk about them both. Focus on relationships and family. And I can tell if family is important to you.
Well, one of the key success principles with business is relationships, because most small business people, whether you're a sales guy or you have a company, we have a tendency to be what I call transactionally minded. We focus on getting paid for the transaction, getting the new customer, getting the deal, cashing the check, high-fiving our whoever, and then finding a new target to hunt down and take their money. And that is the wrong way to look at it, because all business, all successful long-term business is built on relationships. So in my business, we focused on relationship marketing, not transactional marketing. That's one part of it. Marketing and doing things that make your phone ring. Okay, that's great. You get a check. That's great. But that's just the beginning. So the real way is to focus on the lifetime value, to focus on the relationship. It's probably 10 or 20 times more money in the lifetime of any customer relationship you have than it is today with what they paid you today. And that's really what Send Jim is all about, is helping you capture that and stop dropping the ball on the obvious things. Family is a different thing. Family, faith, family, business. I do not live that perfectly at all, but that's my target. That's what I want. That's my heart. That's my passion. So, living right, being faithful, being authentic and an intelligent risk taker in front of my children, that has to be first. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I fail constantly, but it doesn't matter, because if you remember, I'm relentless. So I get up and I keep trying to do better every day.
I love it. Love it. Very good. 3 orders, faith, family, and faith, family, and what was the third?
Work.
Work.
Yep.
Okay, work. Yeah, I was thinking work, but business. Very good.
Yeah, business or work. Yep.
So, and I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add one more from just looking at your website, because I know you're a systems guy. Talk about systems a little bit before we go to break.
Well, if anybody is listening to this, I got a gold nugget for you here. This is really good stuff. I don't care if you have a business or if you're thinking about starting one. Here's the secret. Everyone already has a fully systemized life right now. So this is a weird corporate jury, boring word. People don't know what it means. Systems, what are you talking about? I don't have time for this. I'm just trying to survive the day. But here's the thing. You surviving your day is you executing on your current systems. The way you talk to your kids, the way that you sell a job, the way that you follow up after, the way that you keep the data clean, the way that you whatever. Everything you're doing is a habit and a system, and there's a format to it. So the question is not, I don't know, Josh, should I really focus on systems in my business? That's the wrong question. The correct question is, are the current systems in my business serving me well? Are they serving my why? Are they taking my sailboat, and as my current systems, is the rudder dropped in the water in pointing the correct direction towards the destination, because it's probably not for most people listening to this. And there's waves in life, there's wind in life. It doesn't matter. If you have your sail up and you have a rudder, you can go right into the wind as a sailor, and go still reach your destination. But you have to have systems. You have to have processes. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about starting with the simple things and slowly iterating and optimizing them. And in the long run, you're going to have a well-oiled machine. And really, that's what every successful business is. McDonald's is the ultimate example of a systemized business. You have 15-year-old kids with zits on their face running a $2 million store, right? By themselves, because they don't even put the soda in the cup. They have a machine for it. They push the button and the conveyor takes the cup. I mean, it's hilarious, but it's honestly pretty cool. And even with a one-person small business, systems are critical.
Systems are even more important. And we'll talk about virtual assistants, things like that too. You can add to the process. Hey, with that, we're going to go a quick break, and we're going to come back and find out how the listener can find you.
Okay.
Okay. Coming off the break, we want to know, Josh, how can the listener find you? And we also want you a quick commercial on what can the listener do for you?
Well, to find me, you can get a carrier pigeon and attach a handwritten note to it and send it to Costa Rica. No, I'm just kidding. You can go to sendjim.com, or you can go to my podcast. There's a contact form on my podcast, quicktalkpodcast.com. That's kind of my passion, fun side project. Not really a business, but tons of fun. It's easy to get a hold of me on Facebook and Twitter. @AutomateJosh is how you can find me. And what was your second question, Bill?
He's going to ask you, so the listener, what can the listener do for you?
What can the listener do for me? Well, be inspired. You know, we live in a crazy, broken world right now. I mean, things are weird politically. I'm not derailing our conversation. Things are bad. Corruption is high. Hopelessness is creeping up. And, you know, rather than living in fear, I want to encourage people to leave their cave, club something, and drag it home. You know, go conquer something, whether it's going for a run because you're getting overweight, or taking your wife on date night because you're completely neglectful of her. Do something better and be inspired. Surround yourself with people that motivate you, whether it's through podcasts, books, or other humans is the best thing. Take responsibility for your own life, and, you know, I'm rooting for you. That's what you can do.
I'll say to the listener to go on over to sendjim.com. Really simple. Start there. Go over to the other sites and check them out. The podcast. Listen to the podcast. Go and rate the podcast. It's a Quick Talk podcast. Easy to find on iTunes. So do that too. That said, we're going to finish up one last question. Being from Michigan, down in Costa Rica, we're going to ask about food. So if I'm down in Costa Rica, where should I go to eat, and what should I eat down there?
Oh man, this caught me off guard a little bit. I'll tell you, the food, Costa Rica is not known for its food, and I am no food snob or connoisseur. In fact, my wife makes fun of me because I'm 34. I eat like a 7-year-old. Like when I get a cheeseburger, it's only ketchup on my cheeseburger. You know, I don't eat salad and things. It's kind of humiliating. Yeah, it's just the reality of how I am. But the big thing down there is that people love is called gallo pinto, and it's this, you know, little chilies and spices with rice mixed together, and they throw some stuff in it, and they eat it for breakfast. So rice is a breakfast food in Costa Rica. The other thing is called casado, which is, you know, chicken and rice and beans and plantains and a little mini salad. So it's not a super famous food country, but, you know, I like rice and beans, so we're doing okay in that department.
So I take it Linden, Michigan, which your other home, and we are right now on vacation. Linden is close to Flint, correct?
That's right, about 15 minutes south. Yep.
Okay, so it's really metropolitan. So if I'm in Flint, what kind of food do I expect to eat there? What's your specialty? What do you like?
Flint has a lot of ribs and a lot of seafood places, like fried chicken, or I'm sorry, like Popeyes. They have a lot of Popeyes. They have a lot of of course, we have all the chains, but I'm talking about, you know, real people on the streets kind of food. There's some good smoked meat places. But honestly, you know, Flint is a weird place. You know, right now they're having a water crisis. There's all kinds of poison in the water. So you really don't want to go to a restaurant in downtown Flint at the moment, to be honest.
So Linden, is your water okay in Linden?
Yeah, the water's okay here. It's well water, but, you know, they had a total disaster. I mean, the governor of the state of Michigan might be indicted and brought up on charge. It's a total nightmare. And honestly, it's not funny. I wasn't laughing at the situation because children have died. It's been a disaster.
Hey, so we'll have you on Meet the Voter, meetthevoter.com. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, so you know it firsthand. That'd be interesting to ask you some questions about what actually happened. Hey, that said, we're
Sure.
going to finish up the show. I thank you for going on. We got a good take this time. And we remember, folks, you can go over to Timelines of Success or Timelines Netcast. Just put in Josh in the search and you'll find the episode. It'll probably be in the 260 somewhere. And enjoy. Say goodbye.
Thanks a lot, Bill. I really appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege. Take care.
Good. And thanks for being a good sport tonight.
Oh, of course, man. I mean, this is the way it goes with technology sometimes.